Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. Today, it's a Friday, but more importantly to us on the program this morning, it's the 893rd day since the Chibok girls have been gone. 893 days so far, still counting. Back to that unfortunate day, as you remember, in April, between the 14th and the 15th of April in 2014. So today brings it up to 893 days that the girls have been gone, and we're no closer today, arguably, to getting them back than we were the very second day. Well, you might have also heard over in America, on the sidelines of the annual General Assembly, UN General Assembly address, the Nigerian president has been speaking, and he has actually invited the UN in to mediate the release of the girls. This is against the backdrop. The president had said that we've made overtures to Boko Haram, but it's very, very difficult to talk to them because there's been a splinter in the leadership. That's indeed as the case is. Everybody has thought of Shekau, as the head of Abubakar Shekau as the head of Boko Haram, but then IS, the Islamic State, recently said that he had been replaced by a younger man, Abu Musab al-Banawi, a younger al-Banawi. Shekau says, not true, I'm still very much in charge. So you can understand when the president says that it's difficult to know who to speak with, and they've invited the UN to mediate. You'll recall that neighboring Chad Republic has also had an effort at mediating, and that has led nowhere. To help us understand the complexity of the problem, even as we are still counting the 893rd day, Professor Charles Dokubo has kindly joined us. Professor Dokubo is the head of the Department of Defense and Strategic Analysis at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Thanks for coming on, Prof.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, I want to try and understand, one can understand the way the president puts it. It's a complex situation. We don't even know who to talk to. IS brought this matter about by announcing that it had a new guy, that there was a new guy in charge, and his name is Abu Musab al-Banawi. Shekau says not so. Let me understand, help us understand, who is IS? How did they arrive on the scene? Were they invited in? Did they invite themselves in?
ISIL, is a fundamentalist religious organization that emerged in the fractured state of Syria and Iraq. And they've been expanding to areas that they were not even welcome, trying to set up a sort of sultanate or caliphate to the Ummah, the Islamic faith, that environment in which the Islamic State stays. So definitely, when Boko Haram arrived at the scene, they even gave them a franchise under which they recognized Boko Haram also as part of their own religious drive, the authenticity of the religion that they believe that they worship with. So they believe that Boko Haram is also part of that group. That's how they come in relationship
even
with Boko
as
Haram.
Islamic leaders of thought and clerics have said that you should not, speaking to the internal audience, you cannot regard Boko Haram as an Islamic group. They don't even like it when you refer to them as the Islamist terrorist organization. They said Boko Haram has nothing whatsoever to do with Islam.
Most times I always tell people, this sort of religious affiliation they always allied themselves to is difficult to say that, because not all Muslims support ISIL. And then this organization has gone to destroy mosques, churches, and also synagogues, whatever, any place of worship, they do. So how can you totally say that it's an Islamic organization or it represents the Islamic faith? They are, for me, an extremist organizations that have fractured out of the main Islamic body, and yet they are questioning the faith that they believe that they all share together. Most people think that Islamic faith is a very monolithic faith that people adhere to. But now we've seen variants of it emerging in other parts of the world. And then most of them harken back to antiquity.
Ancient time.
Thinking about that is the real way to worship, the purity of the faith, questioning the prevalent view of worship and all that. And that's how ISIS emerged. And then they also gave what we call franchise to Boko Haram.
Sort of
we have accepted
them.
You, that you are part of the movement in creating a worldwide caliphate. in which Islam will be the only religion.
Now, it's very difficult to know, as the president said, who to speak to in Boko Haram. So understanding exactly what Boko Haram, the Nigerian-grown organization, thinks it is, might also be a challenge. For instance, this franchise that you spoke about that ISIS bestowed on them, do they want it? Do they accept it? Did they invite them in, or did ISIL invite itself in?
I think they would like to have aligned themselves to ISIS, because they see ISIS as a very important movement that from outside it has been recognized that they share the same faith and the same way of doing things. So definitely that's why at once they saw that there was ISIS in the Levant and all that, that's how they also decided to embrace ISIL. And then ISIL also said, oh, we share the same identity and the same, the pursuit of the same faith. So that's why they came together.
Now, what do you then think, Prof, in terms of our trying to negotiate with them, as the president had said that efforts had been made to, how do we handle the whole Abubakar Shekau and younger Abu Musab al-Banawi issue?
The fact is that, intentions have been made in the past to have negotiation with federal government. And whenever a fringe organization decides to make peace from the periphery to the core, there is always a split in any organization.
Okay.
IRA, you have the authentic, the real IRA as distinct from the other main body of IRA. The fact is that, people always believe that there are those who are ready to negotiate are sellouts. They are sellouts, while they are the authentic believers of the faith. As a result, they are not going to. Even those people believe that they're trying to build a bridge for them and the government to negotiate in such a way. Those who claim to be authentic, they will tell you that what's the difference between a bridge and a traitor? They all cross over to the other side.
Oh dear.
So definitely, it will be very difficult for even the mainframe to accept that negotiation. One, on the second count, the fact is that Boko Haram had always been a shadowy organization. We hear of names, but we cannot even put names to those faces that they brand themselves as leaders. For me, that even becomes difficult. Furthermore, the idea that we don't even know what they are fighting for. We don't even know what they are fighting for.
So what the ideology is also very important.
It's very important. So we don't know what they are fighting for. And on what basis are you going to negotiate with them? It is not going to be based on conditionalities, one, if you want a peaceful negotiation. You have to start with talks about talks.
Okay.
That's where you start with, talks about talks. Then before you go into the main issue that they want to negotiate with. For the federal government to call on, or the president to mention at the sides of the UN that he would like to involve the UN in negotiating. For me, it's for the first time, he has brought it to the forefront of UN discussions about the crisis he faces in Nigeria.
Okay.
But I believe also, if there could be anything from the UN that will turn the tables around, we still have to be cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic in the sense that I don't know if the UN delegations will find any person to discuss with.
Okay. Okay. Might there not, well, if it is thought that Nigeria, because we have the sore, it is to us a sore, and so we might be said to be emotionally involved in it, is the president not showing some amount of good faith that might be recognized, should be recognized by Boko Haram, that, well, at least he's agreed to hand it over to impartial UN observers?
Right from the beginning, the president has always said that we'll negotiate, but we are not going to relent. It's a double-pronged attack in the sense that we are going to negotiate with you. But through negotiation, you have to lay down your hands. If not, we'll continue our attack. ISIL, the supporters of that supports Boko Haram, they are on the second foot. They are running back now from areas that they've occupied to be their strongholds. So what they are trying to do is to send out tentacles to other parts where factional movements, so-called Islamic movements, are, to give them succor and support. That's what they are doing.
If one were to reduce it simplistically, I guess what Boko Haram wants is the release of the quite many of the fighters from federal custody. And I don't know how doable that is.
Countries in the past had always released prisoners, or they trade in prisoners for captured soldiers. It's been done in history for a very long time. Mm-hmm. But we must know who we are releasing. Who are those? Have we debriefed them in such a way that they could be accepted back to our society and conform to the rules and demands of our society?
And be loyal to the Nigerian state.
Because if you capture them, there must be a period of debriefing, de-radicalization in the process. So definitely they must have gone through that. And we can trade them in, but not as Boko Haram fighters. As Nigerian citizens, they can go about their normal duty in the country. But if you release them, for them to go and join Boko Haram again, I don't think any meaningful government will go through that way.
And that is the big danger, the thoroughness of the job, as you have explained, of debriefing prisoners, so that when we come to exchange them, we don't find ourselves in more peril than we were before. Now, perhaps that begins to give an inkling into the nature of the problem. Because emotionally, people might say, look, it's my daughter in there. Just riff-raff terrorists. Can you please just release a couple of them and get my daughter back? On the emotional level, it sounds okay. But there are clearly more strategic aspects to the whole matter.
Governments are not emotional institutions. They look at things in the way they want to see it. These are strong institutions, and that definitely they will be very careful in trying to play that role of trading in terrorists for our girls, however emotionally laden that issue is.
Yes.
Because it might be...
No matter how many activists are protesting, government do something?
Every government will be ready to do something. But on what basis? And what are the demands? How are you going to meet the demands of the terrorist organization?
And
we need our girls. No, every government will fight for that. But it should be on the condition of our government. We need them to be released, not to be harmed, so that they could go back to their parents.
And then there also is the question of what chips really still remain in the hands of Boko Haram. We would want 276 girls were abducted. We would like to stay on a positive foot and say that all of them are still alive. That's what we'd want. But we don't know for sure.
Some have been married out. Some have become pregnant. Some have become mothers and all that in captivity.
Some have even crossed over to the other side via the, what is that, Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes. So we have to be careful. Even when those children are brought back, they don't have to be released directly to their parents. There must be an institution, a halfway house, through which we have to talk to them and try to bring them back to what our society really is.
Because it's been 893 days today.
Long days, moving from one place to the other.
From 2014 to 2016.
It is a very difficult period. Yes. If you count back to these days and all that, when it started and all that, when we thought that it would be over in a short while. But we didn't know that it's going to be for the long haul.
And now that we have this long haul on our hands, and look, we want this, the parents want it to happen today. Are you optimistic that we are preparing well for success, for example? Because we have to have in mind that we're going to succeed at what we're going to do. And if magically, I'm just saying that for this conversation, we were to come to a deal tomorrow and release them tomorrow, what you said, the infrastructure that must be necessary to receive these people, do you think we have that in place already?
I think, in the place in the Northeast, where you have what we call post-conflict peace-building processes, where IDPs have been taken care of, with support from other countries also. We must bear that in mind. Okay. The government also will have in mind to develop that sort of facilities to which these people will be released into. They will be debriefed, de-radicalized, and also slowly but surely linked up to their parents, because these are not the children that they left. These are children that have been affected.
Some of them went away as girls, they've become young women.
Inflicted by ideas that are so foreign to them. So how do you bring them back to the parents? Parents would like to have them immediately, but the government will go through processes in which trauma management and all that. I believe the government has the capacity to do that.
Maybe it's all these things you've been talking about, Professor, that might have apparently scuttled very early approaches when every major Western country pledged their support and empathy for us, and that we could help in whatever way we can. It was thought at the time that some of them might send forces to join the onslaught or the offensive against Boko Haram. But all of that sort of packed up. As we were hearing by way of rumor, it's not really fact at the time, that those people were not too happy at the state of our organization, not to mention professionalism of some of our official fighters. And so we can't work like this. They had to pack up and go.
I doubt if it's so. I don't believe that. I believe that it's a very difficult negotiation to carry out with Boko Haram. Finding who to discuss with. These were the things that worried the external actors that want to come in to play a role, because you cannot identify who you want to discuss with. As the present situation we are talking about.
So that problem has always almost
been
from
there.
day one.
Because, who are you going to discuss with? You are ready to aid, support, to make provisions for our KLs and all that. But you must have somebody to discuss with. If now they are ready to discuss, and then the urgency of their request also to discuss with Fragum is also because of the battering they've had from the Nigerian military.
Okay. One moment. Okay, Comrade Okorafor from Arochukwu, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yuri. Good morning, Professor Dukobo. Morning, Prof.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see Prof on the screen this morning. I thank United Nations for inviting Nigeria with the able leadership of our Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and our President. Now, the way I'm looking at this, one of the challenges that Nigeria will be facing, that this issue of SWAP committee will be facing, is who is the leader of this strong man, the so-called the Boko Haram? Because like you rightly said, Mr. Yuri, in your opening the roll-up, it's two factions. Because this is one of the challenges we are going to face, because we have to identify who is who. In the detention camp of Nigeria prisons, how many are these detainees or these people we are going to swap? Is it the people that are of high frequency of crime that we are going to swap with, or with the minimum of? Because we need statistics. Because if we don't get it, because when you talk about the statistics, all these meetings, there are certain things you have to take into consideration. Because if you look at America, we're doing this issue of Benson issue. They had so many issues ahead of them, and they looked into it before they started swapping. So Nigeria has to be very, very careful. Thank God that we are bringing in United Nations into this issue to help us solve this problem, because this issue is an issue that needs an expert. Because without expert approval or expert approach, we'll come back to square one. You see another branch or group of people to the surface in that they are so and so. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you, Comrade Okorafor.
Thank you.
It probably goes back to what you were talking about,
Yes.
the talks before the talks.
Yes.
You've got to have that to understand.
You definitely have to.
What are the parameters?
Parameters, yes, because you cannot just go to discuss because you want to release our girls, which is very important to us anyway. But be that as it may, what are the circumstances of discussion? Releasing people or trading people on for terrorists, to leave them where? To go back to what they are doing? If Israeli soldiers that were captured by Palestinians are released, they know that they are going back to Israel as soldiers.
Yes.
Are we releasing these people to go back to the camp of Boko Haram and continue the struggle that they believe they have the right to fight for? These are issues that we have to be very careful about. A state that is coming out of this sort of a thing, every discussion should be bounded and guided by ideas and how to contain it so that it does not relapse into the problem. It's not going to be a revolving door. You bring them out, and then they go back again to Boko Haram and to come and harass the people of Nigeria. And we have to be very, very careful. Let the UN send the delegation. Let them look for the people that they're going to discuss with. If they do have and find the people to discuss with, then definitely we'll talk about talks. And then from there, we'll know where to go from.
Okay, and now you explained the origin of ISIL.
Yes.
And we're part of a global community. Even
Yes.
they themselves, where they originated from, you said the Iran-Iraq axis.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Surely they don't identify with, I mean, I'm looking to see they don't identify with unjustifiable killing and doing that which is un-Islamic. Is there a sense in which we can see ISIL as something of a rogue organization that doesn't have the blessings of Saudi Arabia, for example, and the official other Islamic states?
In fact, ISIS is a threat to a country. Is a threat to a country like Saudi Arabia, to most of the states in that area. They are a threat to those nation states. So we should understand them. They are not wanted anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And
they usually invite themselves in.
And then no person will arrest them and be used as article for trading them in for any other thing. Because they are destructive elements.
And they are
not in the mainstream of the Islamic faith either. Mm-hmm. They cannot map out a way of a faith that is only good to them, not to the whole body of Islam.
So they're effectively a problem that needs to be managed.
A problem that we have to be very careful in dealing with.
Okay. Waiting on the line now. Gabriel, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to implore the parents of these girls and all Nigerians to be patient with the president. I know this man is going to do the right thing at the right time. This case requires wisdom. Because sometimes when you look at this video, the way I look at this video, this Chibok, this lady that has been abducted for years, when you look at them, they are still looking pretty. I still suspect some foul play. Please, I'm begging the whole Nigerians and the parents of these people, these children, that they should be patient with the president. With time, this man is going to do the right thing. Thank you, and God bless you.
Well, thank you very much, Gabriel. The presidents have always wanted to do the right thing. Same thing with the former president till now. The former president, actually, as you recall, President Jonathan, tell me who Boko Haram is so we can talk with them. It's the same problem that we're having now. We're here having the president now saying this is part of the problem. You don't know who you're to talk to. So, as Prof has said, countries want to do the right thing. No country wants any of its citizens taken by force.
No.
So I don't know, when he talked about patience, when the gentleman talked about patience, well, 893 days.
We've been patient. In fact, our patience has been dragged. It has gone through all the elasticity processes that it should. We have gone through that. We are still in the waiting process.
Okay.
But on the other hand, the federal government should continue their fight against Boko Haram, while there's the door of an opening for them to lay down their hands to come and negotiate on negotiating table.
Okay.
If it is about social development in the area they come from, sometimes we cannot even identify if there are no external forces linked to them fighting in Nigeria. So if they're talking about social development in the areas, there is a way to address those issues.
Okay, one moment, please. Good morning, Yakub, and thank you for holding on. Oh, I just lost Yakub. So sorry about that, Yakub. See if you can get back in. One of the benefits of the president, directly inviting the UN to mediate in the release of the girls is because he's speaking on the sidelines of the UN. Countries are going to be involved. This could have its usefulness because we're just exploring all options here, aren't we?
I think yes. Initially when this issue of Boko Haram started, it was seen even by our neighbors as a Nigerian problem. Eventually, when Boko Haram spread its tentacles to places like Cameroon and Niger, it was then they realized that it was beyond Nigeria. It was a regional crisis, if not an international crisis. So be that as it may, we have to work, with all these other neighbors and make sure that we follow the right paths.
Okay. Felix calling from Adamawa State. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Ogayori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'm Prof. Sometimes when I see people cry for this Boko and this Chibok girls, the truth about it is, if we see them, if people know where they are, it will be easy for this military men to go. It's not like the military men are not looking for them. But the issue on ground is you are looking for people in the forest where you don't know where they are. And people are clamoring, release them. The military men themselves are not happy that they cannot find these people guys. Are you understanding me? So we expect people to sit down and look at it logically rather than waking up every day, release these guys who want to release them. If we see them together, they don't have to face them. You understand? Now, some of the women that have been escaped from the Boko Haram camp, our parents have met them and asked them if they've seen this girl so far. And no one has ever testified to say, okay, we met them in social place or we let them in social tranche so they can use that map to know how to trace where they are. And for people going to Abuja every day trying to release these girls, I don't think any father or mother will wish to release these girls where they are. But I expect people to use wisdom in whatever we are doing. Because I have been a teacher for long, and I can testify that in that Chibok, you don't have up to 200 students. Because every day people cry there are more than 200 something. It's not true. It's not true. I have a mathematical state. I have been to Chibok. I know that school specifically. We are not disputing the fact that Chibok gets not carried. But the fact that you are estimating that because it will be 200 something, I still stand my gun. Today, that is not true. And by the day those girls to come out, you will believe with me, Yori.
Okay, Felix.
That these girls are not for 200.
Okay, Felix. Actually, 276 is the number that is being used, and of that, if you were to search it on the internet, you'll find that something like that number is, let's just, around 40 or 45, something like that, as to those that are still missing. The implication being that somehow around 40 have found them. You can't refer to them as missing anymore. But what Felix brings up there is also all the conspiracy theories that are on ground here. There are quite a number of them. We've heard things from the subtle to the bizarre, including on the bizarre end of the scale. There is no such thing as Chibok girls. Nobody was ever, abducted. Well, this is a variant of it. The gentleman who just called in says that, look, he knows the place, he's been a teacher, and he's not comfortable at all with a number in the region of 200. Is this something that we just also have to add to the mix when we're contending with these matters? They're not very helpful to some people might think.
What they attacked was a school. And the population of the school, if they took about 200 and something, I don't know why people should doubt that. Schools, those who are at school, they're not only from that region. They're not only from that state. They've come from various parts of the north to attend secondary school there.
Exactly.
So you cannot, because you have been a teacher on a particular place, that is not that number or it's not like that. I'm not questioning whatever he says. But the problem is, what we must know is that in the secondary school, there is a mix of a lot of people. And
they were supposed to be there congregating because of West African School Certificate examination that they wanted to take.
Sort of a thing.
There were
so definitely there's
people
a lot
that otherwise would not have been there.
Those who have centers in that area also have been there to be packed up.
Exactly.
So we should not play on those figures there. If there are people that are returnees that have found their way back, then we can subtract from the main body. But there are some, because we had stories, some people found their ways back and all that. We've had stories like that. But we just have to be careful because it's a very an emotional subject.
It is.
Mothers, fathers are waiting. Some have not even eaten very well. They have not slept very well. They are sleeping with eyes open. So we don't have
One doesn't want to add to the
no,
anguish.
What we are saying is that let the government carry out whatever options that are available so that if these girls come, when and if this girl comes up, they are in good health.
Okay, Mr. Bello calling in from Satellite. Mrs. Bello, Satellite Town, Lagos. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling.
And good morning to the prof in the studio. Please, I want to plead on Nigerian government, to the parents of the Chibok girls that we are looking for. They should please exercise patience. The last video was sent to the government that we saw. From the video, I can see those women, they were women, not girls. And even this video cannot be as a latest video. It can be the video because all these terrorists actually act. So I want to tell the parents they should please exercise patience. Even if we eventually bring back these girls to them, what do we know that is in their mind? What can they do even if they are back to their parents? They may have evil thoughts in their mind. So Nigeria should please look at this issue very well. Let us be patient.
All right then.
With the president.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bello, for calling in, ending on that note of Nigerians should be patient with the president. We're going on a quick break now. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back, continue with this conversation, and taking in your views as well. Welcome back. Still with Professor Charles Dokubo, Head of Department of Defense and Strategic Analysis, Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, is our guest this morning. And we're looking at the question of the President in New York on the outskirts of the annual UN General Assembly has actually invited the UN to mediate the release of the Chibok girls, who have been away now for 893 days. Prof, it does also throw up, against the backdrop of the complexities you've explained in the first half of the program, it does also throw up the whole issue of, even when we get our girls back, there is the question, painful as it is, of what exactly are we getting back 893 days later, ideologically, mentally?
It will never be the same that we lost. So that's how the government will have to build up, mitigating circumstances where you have to look at it in terms of debriefing them, in terms of trying to de-radicalize all of them, not even selectively, because we don't know what they've gone through. That period of trauma management should be taken by the government.
And Prof,
and before the parents could even see their children.
Prof, the point you're making, I think it relates to what has been referred to in psychology as the Stockholm Syndrome, right?
Yes.
Where captors now turn around and begin to identify with their captors.
Feel for their captors and others. Yes,
and
then it will just happen. Most of them might even say that the suffering was not as much as we outside are talking about.
And God forbid, might actually begin to espouse some of their ideas.
So we have to set up stations on how to deal with them before we hand them over. And then even for those who they are going to be traded in for, in fact, it's even more critical for us to set up situations where we know not only, because if you release them and you release them to the cities where they are going to disturb again, it's a difficult process.
Okay, one moment, please. Thank you very much for calling back again, Yakub. Good morning.
Yeah, very good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
I think Prof has said it all, and then he spoke very, very well that to the extent that ordinary citizens understand. But let me just make a point. The point is that we are in a very difficult time for being expecting that we see all the Chibok guys. The other guy that calling from Adamawa say they are not up to 218 or whatever. Even if they are all just ordinary 10 or 5 people, they are still our members, they are still the children of somebody. There is from a developed country, they will value a one person, a life to exchange for almost 10 or 1,000 of terrorists, because they believe that one person can be able to add more value to their country. Why am I saying this? Chief Jolly, if you could recollect, remember, fast back, before this Boko Haram started, we have never had about female suicide bomber before. But immediately they adopt this Chibok girl. After a year, after adoption, you heard about a female suicide bomber. Who know? Out of this female suicide bomber, who know? It may be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of Chibok girl. But the fact still remains that we should be patient with President Muhammadu Buhari. He's going to take a very good step, which are already on it now, by inciting the UN. If UN can follow it up, and then they know the real people to discuss with, when we are talking about the terrorist group. If they really know, okay, let's say 10 to 10, 20 to 20, but the fact still remains, as Prof said earlier, when they release these children, the children now believe that they are among of Boko Haram already, Chief Jody. There's no doubt about it. Because Boko Haram have been telling them some certain things that look at yourself, almost 2 years, nobody has of you. So you are our member. they should not release them to their family, because releasing them to their family will not help those children. Thank you and God bless you.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Yakub, for calling in. 893rd day that the Chibok girls have been gone, and it's the day after President Buhari in America asked the UN to come in and assist with mediation towards their release. Prof, you remember back in the day, another notable Nigerian former President Obasanjo had said in the immediate aftermath that, look, those girls are gone. That wasn't very helpful. He says he will be very, very, very surprised if we were to see one Chibok girl alive. I don't know. Him being of the stature that he is, and knowledge and all of that, saying that.
I will not, if I were to be him, I wouldn't have said that. Because for me, he was shooting from the hips. Because after that statement, we have seen trickles of those girls still coming back. So for him to have said that, I think it was quite an unwelcome statement from an eminent person. But sometimes eminent people also do mistakes.
They do gaffe.
Yes.
So now and again.
So that's it. But
maybe he was referring to the fact that the enemy in this case is not a formal disciplined force, and with guerrilla armies, if you want to call them that, they are known to...
My worry is even different.
Okay.
The various attacks that have taken place in the areas that these people are, some people could have been victims of collateral damage, in the sense that the federal attack and also the exchange of guns and all that could be collateral, that some of them might have died. That could be what we are going to hear later. But that to believe that we are not going to get them,
no.
I doubt if it is true.
No.
I believe that with the efforts that have been invested in this venture.
Okay. Mr. Obawolu, calling in from Egbeda. Good morning, sir. You're not there. Okay. Well, now remember that there was Michelle Obama, the first lady of America, notably, but there were other world figures who identified with the girls. Even locally at home here, the Bring Back Our Girls movement is also in the fray. Of recent, something has happened to the advocacy of the Bring Back Our Girls movement. You have parents now saying that to the authorities, according to news reports, look, you want to talk about Chibok girls, talk to us, the parents, direct. Don't talk to any organization anymore. Effectively, they seem to be cutting off, for whatever reason, activists on their behalf. What do you think is going on in there?
They are the people that feel the pain directly. And in most cases, they will say that, address us. We will explain to you how we feel the pains. Activist organization, good, but also talk to us.
Okay.
You cannot just leave the activists by the side. They are doing the advocacy. They are pressing the pressure points of the government and the pulse of the government also.
And sometimes, if necessary, being an irritant to government.
Yes, so you cannot totally wish them away. You can't.
Okay.
The fact is that they are also involved. Some of them have dedicated their own work period to that work. So we cannot put them aside. We will try as much as possible for the parents and these groups to work in concert.
Maybe also some of their methodologies might be adapted because you've just explained how you can't do away with these advocacy groups.
No, you can't.
After all, the parents might not be as adept at
as they are
calling attention to this and sustaining the attention.
Yes. For me, they should even try to work in concert with them. Get into that group, work hard, and make parents also create groups in other parts of the world where their children are in trouble, and they create groups and that are aware of the issues that they face. So doing away with this advocacy group, bring our girls back, and then depending on parents. Parents are scattered all over the country.
But it is the parents that came together as a group to be making this demand.
Very good. That's why they should work in concert with the advocacy group. They have internationalized their movement.
Indeed.
It's all over the world.
Okay. Mr. Ade from Alakwere, thank you for holding on. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Please go ahead now.
First, I would like to appreciate this program and the professor. Thank you very much for such an initiative. I would like to say that I've lost a family member in the pursuit to rescue the Chibok girls. my cousin brother is a soldier. He died in the process early last year. You see, so the issue of the government work should even come up. Because all those families that they show on TV and they are protesting going to Abuja, they should just calm down because people are actually losing their lives to save these girls. Okay? And then I want to appreciate the government again. And like what the professor said, if you're allowing the girls come back or if you're giving back Boko Haram members, we need to be careful who release to who. Okay? What are going to be their impacts? What's going to be the later thing? Okay? And people that have in custody already, what have we known about them? I think that should be the question. Okay? What do we really have about them? Do we know their families? Do we know their relationships? If we put all those things into consideration, I think God's going to help us.
Right. Yeah. Thank you very much for calling in, Adi. Quite a number of callers have emphasized the need, difficult as it may be, for patience with the administration to do that which is necessary to bring about what we want. Yes, there's the emotional factor, so that's why. But patience has been known to work elsewhere. In other settings around the world where you have this kind of a situation, negotiations have gone on for years, and ultimately we achieve the objective of bringing ourselves. But perhaps America is one of the more famous for this whole attitude of no man left behind kind of a syndrome. Whatever it takes in resources, the country is...
However long it takes.
And however long it takes.
We will try and get our people back.
We will get our people back.
That's the attitude of the government. We are not going to relent until these children are brought back to their families or back to the Nigerian custody. We're not going to relent. We'll work hard. But, you know, if somebody becomes an irritant on the side of government, questioning government's credibility in doing this thing, sometimes, you know, it's not that helpful. The will of government moves very slow. In terms of this thing, it has always
because
been,
it's a collective.
Yes, in terms of the return of these girls, it's always been at the front burners of this government or whatever government in power. But let me just give you an example.
Sure.
The IRA crisis lasted more than 40 years before Clinton got involved with it, and Blair, and then you have the good Easter Day agreement. It worked. There might still be little things.
Yes.
So, but those who have, I cannot tell those who have children like that, but that's the fact that they should also know in mind. I know they are your children, and then you are really dying to get them in your hands and back in your house so that they could continue with the education that you've sent them to. But it's a situation, if you are to be something that could be done overnight, all the governments would have done it immediately. But it's also a very painful and negotiating period.
And slow.
And very slow.
By the definition of these things.
Just bear with government.
Mr. Shegun, calling in from Otta. Good morning, sir.
Prof, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'd like to pick it up from where Prof just stopped. We are not going to relent until we bring back our Chibok girls. What we as ordinary citizens on the street need to do is also not relent in supporting our government. I think if we do that, we'll be sending a very strong message to Boko Haram that collectively they cannot defeat us. We should keep this government in mind with prayers, and every activity that we take on this Chibok girls, it should be supportive of the government. That is the only way these girls will come back. I believe they will come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shegun, for calling in. And in terms of the organization Boko Haram itself in the Northeast, by all accounts, they've been seriously contained. You know,
yes.
And quite frankly, as you pointed out at the beginning, Prof, they're on the back foot right now.
They're on the back foot, yeah, definitely. But the fact also remains that you cannot say that because you've done that you've attained a particular goal. It is not yet Uhuru.
I see.
It's a continuous process and works in progress. I believe that the actions the government have taken, they are very positive, and then they are doing it in the way they know best. So, in terms of the military campaigns and all that, they should continue.
That has to continue.
They have to continue. They don't have to.
But the ultimate objective would be to wipe out Boko Haram. Let it be said.
It is. You see, a group that has grown that way, to wipe them out will be a bit difficult, but to contain them will be the first priority. Then you can slowly but surely totally get rid of them.
So, for instance, they declared a caliphate. All of that rubbish has been wiped out.
It's been wiped out, yes.
They don't have, any territory right now.
Yes, they're always running. Whenever there's a flight of planes and all that, they're always looking for shelter to hide and all that. I strongly believe that the federal government will continue with that process as well as opening up for discussions.
Okay. From Abuja, Chinedum, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yuri.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
I always enjoy your program, It's Morning Tonic.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Yuri.
Please go. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Please go ahead with your observation. 893 days later.
Yes, it's quite unfortunate. But the issue is this. The Chibok girl's parent seems to forget something. During the last administration, this Bring Back Our Girls group, we are busy being on the neck of the government to make sure that they do something about the girls. The girls release. Then nobody complained. This administration came, they kept on pressurizing this administration to do something, even if it's to do the swap. Now, why is it the parents of the girls coming out now to say that they don't want anybody to be representing them again, that the government should come direct to them? Why didn't they complain that since? I don't get it why they came up with this immediately after the police stopped them at the villa. The next day, the Minister of Women Affairs was in Borno State, and the next thing we had is the Chibok parents coming out to say that the Chibok, that they are not sending anybody to represent them.
Yeah,
it's quite unfortunate. That means they are not being appreciative of what the Bring Back of our girls is doing.
Okay,
this is a woman that left her job and organized others to protest on their behalf to make sure that their children are released.
Okay,
obviously, they does not have a daughter or a son among the Chibok girls. They should be appreciative of that woman and the group.
All right then. Thank you very much for calling in, Chinedu. Okay, that position in there. That wait a minute, we're fighting. There are daughters too, vicariously, and so we're fighting the way we would fight. And Chinedu say that perhaps they might be a bit guilty of ingratitude.
No, the fact also remains that I think the parents should also understand that you are fighting a non-state group, a non-state state group. They don't have they don't have law of battles. They don't have a cantonment that you can easily attack. They are also spread in a large expanse of land. So sometimes picking up however precise their bombing is to pick individuals up is also difficult. Now, thank God, we've got the unmanned objects trying to pinpoint where they are and to send attacks that way. But the parents should not be cut off, but they should try as much as possible to work in concert.
Were the parents speaking and acting for themselves, or perhaps pressure might have been brought to bear on them? I think Chinedu, alluded to the fact, saying that, look, why is it after the police, disturbed them, so to use the word, from gaining access, that they now came out the next day and said, look, nobody should talk to anybody. If we are the parents, they are daughters, talk to us. Might there have been subtle encouragement from governments to distance themselves from advocacy groups?
No, I can't. I doubt this government wants to end this problem. What sort of advocacy people are doing? People are not advocating for the government to say that keep the girls there, don't bother about them. Work hard to bring these girls to us. That's what this advocacy group is saying.
And hopefully what the president did in the US yesterday is part of exploring options.
The mothers also want their children. So they have mutuality of interest.
Okay. Let me quickly bring in the last caller. Abel from Badagry, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Well done. I've been listening to following you on the discussion. But my own contribution is this. Now that the president wants to invite the UN to come and mediate, we who are the UN people, who are they mediating with? Then those girls that have escaped from the Boko Haram, whatever. Now, with the Nigerians, they've not allowed those girls to even talk to Nigeria, to the Nigerians. So how can we, are they not playing politics with the life of these girls? I don't know what is really going on.
All right, thank you very much. We're running out of time, so I've got to let go of you, but thank you for calling in. Let's address that question, Prof. Politics with the girls?
No government will play politics with the lives of these are lives that matters, and that no government will play politics with the lives of every government of whatever political complexion in Nigeria will try as much as possible to release this. It will be a day of happiness for this country, and not only for the parents. So there is nothing about politicking. Nothing. Soldiers have died.
Exactly.
They had a calling. Going to be a soldier is not a job. It's a calling. You are called like a reverend father. You are called for a particular, because of your love of your country, what you can do for your country. They've lost lives there. The government is not complaining. What we are doing is that the government will try as much as possible to work in such a way. If the UN intervention resolves the whole issue, so be it.
In fact, that's what the government wants.
So be it.
And the government seems to be saying that, look, we're putting everything on the table.
There on the table to do it. So I think the parents, they should be pressing, but also slowly too.
Okay, then.
Yes.
Well, Prof, I want to thank you very much for giving us the benefit of your insights on the Boko Haram Day. We sort of marked that it's 893 days today since the 15th of April when they were first abducted. We just hope that we don't get into more horrendous figures. Nobody knew at the beginning that this would be, almost 900 days later, here we are. I just hope, just guessing, just wishing that we don't hit the 1,000-day mark. Thank you very much once again.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed. I'll see you Monday, God willing, with a fresh edition of the program. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.